morning, 7th grade. Welcome to week 8. Today is May 11th, and this is day 1 of week 8. So we're going to be starting our new unit on angles. This is in preparation for what you'll be learning in 8th grade. So due to everything going on, we're trying to just give you a little bit of a head start for what you're going to be expected to know in the 8th grade, which is why we are going to focus now on angles. Today I feel is a pretty easy lesson because it's just an introduction, and I think that most of what's in today's lesson you probably are already familiar with, so it's more just like a refresher. So I'll click on the classwork. You'll notice that there is an agenda. It was supposed to be here. There should be an agenda for week 8. Maybe I put it over here. Oh yeah, okay. So there's an agenda for week 8 if you wanted to take a look at that to have an idea what is expected out of you for the week. You can click on that. I'm gonna scroll down. You'll see there is week 8, May 11th, day 1. You'll have your lesson right here. With the lesson, there is also a link that goes over the types of angles we're reviewing today. So if you want to click on that, it's just an additional resource for you. So you'll click on the lesson. I'm going to use my bigger version over here. Okay, so you have a warm-up. This is just going over, given the algebraic expression, which verbal description is equivalent to the given expression. So using process of elimination, we would be able to eliminate the first 3 because they do not represent the algebraic expression provided, and we would be able to conclude that D is the answer 4 times the sum, which means that that would have to be in parentheses of a number n3, which is why D is the correct choice. Okay, so parts of an angle, things you should know. An angle is an intersection of 2 rays with a common endpoint. A ray is a part of a line with a starting point but no end point. It goes to infinity. So an angle is formed by 2 of these. Okay, and then that middle point that's in between those 2 rays, let me scroll down, is what we call our vertex. Okay, so remember that we name an angle using 3 letters, where the middle letter corresponds to the vertex of the angle. The angle below, shown here, we can call it ABC or CBA, and it can also be just called angle B, which is the vertex. But you need to make sure you always put the vertex in the middle when classifying the name of the angle. Okay, so we're just going to do a couple of practice of that. If this angle was provided, the first thing I want you to do is look for the middle of the angle. So the middle of the angle is S. When we name this angle, we can call it angle S because it's the vertex, or we can name it RST or TSR, okay, as long as the vertex remains in the middle. You can use the word angle to name the angle, or you can use the symbol with the arrow that kind of like points to the left. It's here on your keyboard. If you press shift, that symbol will come up. Okay, so both are acceptable. So again, this angle could be called RST, it could be called TSR, or simply just angle S, naming it by the vertex. Okay, so there's 2 more for us to try together. So again, I want you to look for the middle letter, which letter is attached to the vertex, where those 2 lines meet. So for number 1, it would be M, and for number 2, it would be D. So the ways we can name these angles, we could call number 1 angle LMN, or we could call it NML, or we could just call it angle M, the vertex. Number 2, you can call it EDC, you could call it angle CDE, or you could simply just call it angle D. All right? So again, you want to keep those vertexes in the middle. There's a few more for you to try on your own. The answers are on the following slide. And then we go over the types of angles. So you guys are probably already familiar with these, but this is just, like I said, an introduction and what you need to know so that we can move forward. So you have an acute angle. An acute angle is any angle whose measure is less than 90 degrees. You have your right angle. It's any angle whose measure equals exactly 90 degrees, and we use that little box in the middle to indicate that the angle is a right angle. You could have an obtuse angle where the angle's measure is more than 90 but less than 180. And then you can also have a straight angle whose angle is exactly 180 degrees. That would be a straight line. Okay, so these 4 angles, like I said, you should already be familiar with them, but we're going to review them as well in this lesson. So I'm going to ask you to classify the angles shown here. So for angle 1, I noticed that it's less than 90 degrees, so I would call it an acute angle. Number 2 is greater than 90 degrees, but less than a straight line, less than 180, so this would be obtuse. And number 3, it has that little square in the corner, so we know that it is a right angle exactly 90 degrees. Okay, there's a few for you to try on your own, some more as well. And then the last thing in our lesson is to just know the word congruent. So you can have congruent angles. They can be the same angle. They don't have to be pointing in the same direction. If you notice that the 2 angles provided in this example, they're both measuring 110. One is right side up, one is upside down, but we would still call these congruent because they are equal in measure. They are the same size. So if you are asked for a congruent angle, the angle will be equal in measure. It'll be the same exact size. So here, if we were practicing and they wanted to know the measure of an angle that would be congruent to the angle provided, it's just the equal in measure. So 68 degrees is congruent to 68 degrees. 123 degrees is congruent to 123 degrees. 45 would be congruent to 45, and 179 would be congruent to 179. Okay? And that is it for today. So after you are done with the lesson, you'll go back and you'll have a quick exit slip here, and it'll be on everything I just went over with you. How to name the angles, the different types of angles, and then also finding an angle whose measure is congruent to the angle provided. Okay guys, stay safe, take care.